I'm Mark Turner, president of the Gilroy Chamber of Commerce, and we are doing our 8th annual legislative summit. It's been virtual this year. We hope next year to get back to doing in person. But today we have with us a couple of representatives from Valley Water. We have the Valley Water Board of Directors, John Varela. John is the director of District 1. And then we also have Chris Hakes, who is the Deputy Operating Officer for Dam Safety. Thank you both for being with us. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you, Mark. Really appreciate you inviting us. I believe this is my 5th time doing this legislative summit, so I know my colleagues and I are very appreciative of being here with you today. So thank you again for inviting us.
Absolutely.
Very happy to be here.
Thank you. Thank you both. Well, let's jump into the questions here and get the conversation started. John, we'll start with you. How has Valley Water weathered the COVID-19 pandemic and its ability to manage county's water supply in light of the drought conditions? And in addition to that, the drought system, we're starting to move into a very difficult drought year. So maybe you can expand on that as well.
Sure. In reference to COVID, Valley Water has done exemplary in how it's managed its staffing. We've been literally virtual meetings for over a year now with the board of directors, and many of our staff are working from home and have adapted that lifestyle, which, not coming into an office every day, staying at home. It can be kind of a new experience for everybody to adjust to, which it has been. But overall, we've been very fortunate. We've had some cases of COVID within our ranks. Fortunately, we've been able to move through all that. We have close to 870 people at Valley Water. So a large percentage of them are working from home, are essential operators for our treatment facilities, et cetera, do work at those facilities. But, I think we've done exceedingly well and mandated under the county and the state and the federal government on all these issues currently. I'm very proud of how we've managed and continue to deliver safe, clean water. In reference to the drought, well, that's a question that could take some time to get into, but I'll try to be brief. We have received, the United States Drought Monitors classified all of Santa Clara Valley County as the drought. So we're taking measures as we have in the past. We've survived through 5 years of drought previously. So we're looking at, currently our water reserves are in good condition. We have about 1 year or so to look forward to perhaps Mother Nature delivering us another major water delivery like we did in 2017 without the flooding. So, we're prepared. We understand the situation. Conservation is still very much a discussion. And tonight we have a board meeting and we'll be discussing either we maintain the levels at 20% or we take different approach at this point as well. So drought is a very, very concerned issue for all of us, and the whole state wants water, needs water. And so what it is going to create an opportunity and a need for us to purchase water. And the whole state is purchasing water, and it comes from Northern California. It comes from the Sierras, it comes from the Delta, and we import about 40 to 50% of our water from that area. And water is getting more expensive. As it becomes scarce, it becomes more a need throughout the state, so prices go up. But who we are and what we are, we're constantly getting the water for our constituents to make sure that they have a safe water supply.
And John, you mentioned, I heard you talk about 20%. Was that in regards to a voluntary 20% conservation effort by the residents of Santa Clara County?
That is absolutely correct. When you say voluntary, we're not policemen. And believe it or not, throughout the county, we managed to maintain from 26 to 28% conservation throughout the valley, the entire Santa Clara County. So 20% level work. So tonight, our board will be discussing it, and tomorrow night, whether we maintain that or increase it, or it's going to be a board discussion. But yes, you're right. Conservation is a way of life for us today.
Yes, indeed. Very good. Well, thank you, John. Now, I want to move into, again, when we talk about the drought, and we've always had Anderson Dam to sort of be something we could fall back on. But in light of all that's been happening with the dam and the reconstruction that's going on, can you provide an update to us regarding Anderson Dam?
Sure. So Anderson is kind of like a moving target. Last week, we had our legislative meetings with our federal legislators, our regulators, et cetera. And the majority of the conversation was on Anderson. We're moving forward. Again, a year ago, we had the mandate from the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, FERC, to redo the tunnel So we're moving quickly to get our permits to move forward on that. We're really encouraged that we're expediting that process. We have the resources, the funding in place. So that project is going to take maybe 3 to 4 years to get involved. And then beyond that is the seismic retrofit, where we have already drained our dam, currently operating at about a 3% level. My photo behind me is Anderson Dam in days when it was full. So picture it with a lot less water. I know my associate, Chris Hakes, has a photo of what the dam looks like today. So we are moving at a feverish pace to get Anderson Dam up and running, because it is one of our biggest suppliers. We have 10 dams, and it's our single largest dam currently that provides safe, clean drinking water to our constituents in our county.
Thank you.
There's the photo I was alluding to.
Yeah,
That's what it looks like right
photos,
now.
sure.
Yeah.
Well, Chris,
Before and
I was going to say, Chris, with regards to the director's comments about moving feverishly to get the dam up and running, we're still looking at what is it, about 10 years before we would see the completion?
Yeah, between both projects, the tunnel that's starting, hopefully next month, and then the overall seismic retrofit, which is about 4 years away, we're looking at a duration of about 10 years that the Anderson's going to be out of service. Right now, there is a little bit of water left. When you get to the upper reaches, it is dry. We expect that once year 4 rolls around, it's actually going to be bone dry, and it's going to stay that way for about 6 years or so. So there will be some impacts, obviously, to our water supply.
When you talk about it being bone dry, how does that then affect the environmental concerns, fish and others around and in that area where at the bottom of the dam where it drains out? Is there any impact to environmental, to the environment, or for people concerned with the environmental impact?
There's most definitely a potential for impact. Right now, we're working with all of those environmental agencies to make sure that there is some downstream flow. We do have Coyote Reservoir, which is upstream in the watershed. We will be releasing flows bypassing Anderson Dam to keep that creek wet downstream of Coyote Creek. Also, there is the possibility of releasing imported water. So basically, Director Varela said that we do receive some of our water from the Delta, the Sierras. That's what we call our imported water. We are able to discharge that into Coyote Creek. The rub comes when we are in a drought. There are less imported water supplies. We are a little bit at the whim of Mother Nature as to whether that creek or environmental impacts actually occur.
John, if I could go back to you, and how is Valley Water working with the federal government in light of the recent draining of Anderson Dam?
we have a very, very good relationship with the federal government. As I mentioned, we had our meetings last week with the federal. I tell you what, Congresswoman Zoe Lofgren has been a champion for Anderson. And that doesn't mean that the other electeds have not. They all have been coalescing on this. They want to see this project done. And with the regulatory issues that we have with the permitting, all the different from the federal government, the state government, you name it, and all the environmental groups. When the dam was built in the early 50s, there were no regulators. The dam was finished within, I think, 2-year timeline. Now we're looking at 10 years out. So you can understand that times are different today than when they were when the dam was first built. So, but again, our relationship with even the state of California, Assemblymember Robert Rivas, State Senator John Laird, all the folks in the region and throughout the area have been very, very forthcoming in working towards us to find funding where funding is necessary and permits where permits are necessary. So I can only say we're very pleased with the relationships that we have with all government agencies, especially the federal government.
John, you mentioned Assemblymember Rivas, who just a few years ago did introduce some legislation in order to help expedite the process here. Unfortunately, the governor vetoed that. Can you speak to that? And is there another effort afoot in order to, again, to bring some sort of expeditious effort to speed the dam process up?
Absolutely. I'm very pleased to mention that Assemblymember Rivas has just gone through the Assembly floor and unanimously passed the new bill, Bill 271, which is a bill that is going to allow Valley Water to take the best bids that are out there versus the low bid, which will allow us to get more interested contractors to work on the project. It next goes to the Senate for approval, and then of course to the governor for his signature. So we're encouraged by what we were seeing, and I would certainly request and ask that the Gilroy Chamber of Commerce offer a letter of support of this as well, and also what we're doing with our Pacheco Reservoir as well, and Anderson. So we're very pleased with what's happening with, again, I repeat, with all our public elected officials up and down the state and federally as well.
Well, we'll certainly be supportive of that. We were last time, we will be this time as well, I'm sure. Chris, if I could go back to you, what are the unintended consequences that could occur of the dam once it has been completely drained?
Sure. I just want to say that while there are some unintended consequences, we do agree with FERC's decision from a dam safety perspective. We do want to minimize the potential risks that downstream community, and we understand that the potential for the dam to increase during some like 2017 like events, it does exist. That said, by draining the dam, we're really taking a tool out of Valley Water's toolkit to actually provide water to the public during a drought, right? During that last 5-year drought, Anderson was one of the tools that we drew upon, along with our groundwater basin, our imported water supplies that Director Varela has mentioned. Those are all the different mechanisms we have to make sure that water is provided to the community. Without Anderson there, that's one layer of redundancy that's not there. We have made the proper contracts in place to get additional imported water supplies. So we are aware of the situation. We have been planning for it. So this is not unexpected per se, but it is definitely unintended. It's a little bit quicker than we were originally planning for. Luckily, our staff has done a great job of making sure our groundwater basin is in a good place. Our imported water suppliers are lined up. So I think we should be able to weather this for as long as necessary.
Well, very good. That'll be helpful. I'm sure it'll bring some comfort. I know for boaters, though, that is going to be a difficult challenge for them. In staying along those lines with regards to recreation, with Anderson Dam being closed, what are the alternatives for boaters and skiers and that sort of a thing?
So we do actually have 2 other reservoirs that do have recreation. I believe it's Coyote and Calero. Unfortunately, with the water levels in the drought, there's not a lot of water in there either. There is always hiking and trails available, but maybe Director Varela also has some suggestions for some recreational activities.
Well, recreation is so important to all our residents in Santa Clara County, and we're constantly working with our county partners and our state partners as well. Henry Cove is a partner with us, and we're looking to work with them closely on our Pacheco project as we move forward, along with the county on our Anderson projects and all the projects that we share with our state, also with our county, and also with our local cities. So the recreation is very important to all of us. So we're constantly looking at ways to mitigate any of those concerns to minimize the effect that that's going to have on the public. So we're all about recreation.
John, do you foresee water rates in South County being affected by the draining of Anderson Dam or for any other reason? I know that there's been some discussions already about ag rates in South County. Can you speak to both those issues? One, will the drought create a situation where there could be an increased rate in water? And then secondly, how are the negotiations going for the ag rates here in South County?
Oh, thank you for that question. So the board is currently in its rate discussions, as you know, we're going through our budget hearings. And we have 2 meetings, one tonight and another one tomorrow night, the 26th and the 27th and 28th. And the public is always invited to involve themselves with our rate hearing structure. So we are looking at several different options this year on our rate structure, one that would include Pacheco Reservoir and one without Pacheco Reservoir, which could have an effect one way or the other on our rate structure. So the rates as we're looking at currently would be in the northern part of the county with Pacheco, 9.6% increase, without Pacheco about 8.5%. South County, we do not have any water treatment facilities in South County. It's all groundwater, as you're aware. So the rates are considerably different. With the 3 zones, the rates range from 4.10% to 4.6 to 4.10%. So you can see there's a dramatic increase because, again, I repeat, there is no water treatment in that particular area in the South County as well. So, and what was the second part of your question?
It had to do with the water rates for South County.
Yeah.
Our
agriculture. So, agriculture exists in our region and it's in South County. And it's very much an area that we're constantly looking for offset any cost increases to agriculture. And we're going to be having a lengthy discussion at tomorrow's board meeting on how we can continue to offer affordable rates to the agriculture community from now into the future as well. Measure S, which was passed by the voters last November, allows us some latitude to be able to create funding mechanisms to offer offsets and cost increases to the agriculture community. So yes, we are looking at those, and we're very concerned about maintaining agriculture it's a vital part of our costs and revenue streams to the county, as well as to our region.
Thank you, John. John, again, with you, we have previously supported, the Chamber has supported the Pacheco Reservoir expansion. Would you provide our members an update on this project?
Yeah, but I'm gonna ask, that's a really interesting question. So there's been some issues that have developed on the proposed Pacheco Dam, and the board is looking at several iterations as to what we might finally develop and build in that particular area. It is a partnership with San Benito County. We had an estimated increase in what the outlook of that project was. Originally, it was $1.3 billion when we were first looking at the project. And as of January of this past year, we had new increases based on some evaluations and engineering reports that increased the value to $2.5 billion. So we're looking at partners. Partners are very important. It will be the single largest reservoir built in our region, 140,000 projected acre feet. As a comparison, Anderson is 90,000 acre feet. So it allows us to provide more water during drought times and be able to share water with our partners as well. So, and I know my associate and my staff member, Chris Hakes, can add more to that question if you permit.
Sure, please, Chris.
Yeah, so as Director Varela noted, it would be the largest reservoir in Santa Clara County. All 10 of the existing reservoirs would fit within the footprint. That's about enough water for about 1.4 million residents for a year. We are working with Pacheco Pass Water District and San Benito County Water District to partner. There are 5 alternatives. There are ways to reduce the cost. Currently, the $2.5 billion cost is for one of the alternatives. We've got several different alternatives, one with an upstream alternative, one with a different dam type. We could potentially reduce the cost of the project up to $400 million. We'll constantly be looking at partnership potential as well. Because we are early in the design process, there's a large amount of contingency, which is basically money that's set aside for what-if scenarios. As we refine the design, we expect those numbers to shrink as well. So we're really looking to lower the cost on the project, both through design elements and getting partners on board. Right now, we expect we'll release our draft environmental documents by the end of the year. Because we were awarded $500 million from the California Water Commission through their Prop 1 grant. We were the top rated project in the Prop 1 grant. So this is obviously something that we feel very strongly about. We want to move it forward for the value of the community.
And with that particular project and what you're talking about as far as the price tag there, is that something that, again, as you mentioned, John, this could go to you or to Chris, with regards to partners, will they be the funding partners, or how else would you look to fund this project?
Well, as Chris just outlined, we are getting money from the state of California, and we are applying for funding grants and monies from the federal government through WIFIA. So there are other opportunities for us, but partnering is very important to us because we'll be able to bank water for other water agencies, and they'll pay for that service. We bank water in the southern part of the state, and we have been for many years, called semi-tropic, and we're looking at partnering again with Los Vaqueros, which is in the Contra Costa area. So when our new facility is built, we're going to reach out to people to help us pay for the dam and offer that as a place to store water, like a bank. Essentially, you can draw out water when you need it. So we're looking at all the different, how we could fund it, or partnering, et cetera, public money, et cetera, and even public-private partnerships is not off the table as well, where we're looking at all the different options that are available to build this dam.
And what are the obstacles in getting the project started, and what might the timeline be once you get going?
Well, yeah, go ahead, Chris.
Okay. What we've learned from Anderson is, I'd say the greatest obstacle in any of our projects with this kind of a footprint is the environmental permitting aspect, right? It takes a long time to get the regulators involved to agree. Anderson has over a dozen regulators that are involved, and trying to get them all to agree on a single kind of mission and scope is quite challenging. So Pacheco will have a similar issue. The benefit of Pacheco is some of those agencies are actually our partner agencies moving forward. Because we received a grant from the state of California, we're actually partners with the Department of Water Resources and the California Department of Fish and Wildlife. Those are two permitting agencies which will actually be our partners in this process. This is a massive project. We'll have to do our studies, make sure that we put everything out for public comment. But I'm quite bullish on the thought of getting this done. Quite frankly, I never thought we would see another dam built in California, but the environmental benefit for this project is so high, calculated from the state at about $760 million, that it actually outweighs the emergency water supply benefit from their award perspective. So this is an environmentally beneficial project. I think that's really going to help us clear those environmental hurdles when it comes to permitting and allow us to construct this.
And again, I may have missed that, but again, the timeline, once you get the word you can go, what's the timeline in order to complete?
So we're looking probably in the range of 6 years or so. We're hoping to start construction about 2025, be done around somewhere between 2030 to 2032. It'll be actually kind of neck and neck with Anderson, assuming we're able to start.
Hey man, we'll do a ribbon cutting at both. How's that?
That sounds good.
Yes, and so we continue to ask for your continued support on this project. As you have. Thank you.
No, we appreciate that. Thank you. And I appreciate that answer. John, as we move into our coming up on one of our final questions here, the Upper Yagas Creek Flood Protection Project is currently underway. Can you give us an update on that project?
Yes, I may. Listen, that is an incredible project. For those that may or may not be aware, that project was on the books back in the 1950s. It's been that long since we've been able to move this forward. A year ago, we did a groundbreaking in Morgan Hill in phase 1 with Congresswoman Zoe Lofgren and many of the other electeds and environmental groups. We finally got the project on the books and moving forward. And I can tell you, phase 1, we are 6 months ahead of project timelines. We were able to have access to more people because of the COVID, to be honest with you. People were not doing their regular contract work, so they're able to find more time to complete phase 1. And it is an amazing, amazing construction and reconstruction project. And it's wide open for a visit. Lake Silvera, which has been reborn, fish are flowing, the creek is flowing, and very soon we'll be going out for bidding for phase 2, which is in the northern part of Yagas area, which is in the Morgan Hill area, and then phase 2A and phase 2B for future reference. So we're on target, we're on time, and we're very excited about the completion of phase 1 and the beginning of phase 2 on that project.
And what is the estimated completion date of the project?
Well, as I say, we're 6 months ahead now on phase 1, so that's just about ready to wrap up. So we're looking at possibly midsummer to begin on the next phase, and that might be a 2 to 3 or 4 year project to its completion, estimated. Time can, just like what happened last year, we had some bonus times available to us, and the job is pretty much completed 6 months ahead of project timeline. So, but that's the estimate.
Always nice to hear. Hopefully ahead of budget as well.
Yes, hopefully. That's a good question.
Well, it certainly sounds like Valley Water has got a lot going on. As we wrap up our time together today, any final thoughts from you, John? And then I'll turn to you, Chris.
Hey, Mark, I just want to say thank you very much for your question and answers. It's so great to be in front of you, to be able to listen to the concerns and the questions that you have for the business constituents that you represent, and for all the businesses and the residents of our area. So, but I want to remind the community that we are in a drought, and conservation is a way of life. Please continue to practice that. And lastly, I just want to say South County for staying resilient during these trying times. And I know that we'll get through this and become stronger than ever. So with that, I say thank you very much, Mark.
Thank you, John. Chris? Chris, as we normally have in any sort of Zoom meeting, you're on mute.
I almost made it through, but nope, not at the end. I just want to say thank you to the Chamber and the community for continuing to support our projects. We do this for the community, so community support is obviously important to us. We like everyone to stay engaged and involved. If there are any questions, please feel free to reach out. I've been out to the community a number of times, both virtually and in person. All of those presentations are recorded and put on our website. Valley Water actually has a new Be Heard kind of web interface that allows you real interactive data and updates on both these projects. So if there are any questions, please feel free to reach out. I think my contact information is there as well. Phone, text, email, I'm always available. Please let me know.
And Chris, we can find that information on the website, valleywater.org. Is that correct?
Correct. And I think Domingo's on to give you a little more info on where exactly it is.
Domingo, nice to have you in as we wrap up. Can you give us a little bit of the information we need as far as contact information?
Definitely. If you go to beheard.valleywater.org, you can find that website that my colleague Chris had mentioned, or you can always feel free to reach out to Director Varela directly, or any of the staff here by visiting our website, valleywater.org. All the information is really super accessible, and the phone number, and we're here to help the community.
Very good. Gentlemen, thank you all for being with us today. We appreciate your time and effort. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Bart.
Thank you very much.
Excellent. Thank you.